All right. Obviously, disappointing loss. It did not feel good. I promise you that. But we got a resilient group, and guys came back to work today, and we got after it. Really good Tuesday practice. Thought we were flying around. So excited about another opportunity. That's what I told the guys. We got a lot of football left. A lot of football left. You believe in analytics. You believe in a lot of this stuff, right? We're still right in it. Look at the Bills and the Eagles. They're not feeling too good either right now, right? Probably the two best teams in the league. So it happens, and we're gonna get back on track. And just got a lot of confidence in this group. I really do. So obviously we got a tough task going on the road versus a really good Marshall team, really well coached team that's coming off a huge win, very similar to Troy last week. So we got to bring it, and unique scheme on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. I think their offense, their quarterback's playing at a super high level. Number 4 is probably the best player in the conference right now. And defense, they have the defensive player of the week, right? They're flying around. Head coach is calling it. They got a really good scheme. He's been doing this for a real long time, and he knows their answers. He knows their problems, and he's putting those guys in a position to win. So we got to bring it, coaching, schematically, and we got to bring it, the physicality by the players and execution. So excited about the challenge, and just a ton of history, right, at Marshall. I think that's always cool. My first time being there, right? Chad Pennington trained me coming out for the draft, and obviously Randy Moss went there. So a lot of big time players and big time coaches have gone through there. So excited bringing the whole fam up there this week. So we're the whole Kinne crew is going to be up there. Excited to see what Marshall's all about. Questions?
We've seen losing Valley Rising
Right, right.
Frank.
Yeah.
Get that sponsorship. We've seen losing streaks before. You get losing streaks, you've always bounced back with a win the last
Yeah.
couple of years. What goes into following that up? It seems like talking to you right now, it's a positive mindset. Realizing there's a lot left to the season.
Yeah.
What goes into getting everything back on track?
I think that's really just all you can do is get back to work, and I think time, when you've been there before, right, as a player, as a coach, there's a lot of football left. You just got to go to work and take it one game at a time and look up at the end of this thing and kind of see where it goes. So I think for us, man, we got a bunch of really good seniors. This is the best group of leadership. This is the best group of kids that I've had since I've been here, and so I'm bringing it every day for those guys. That's why I challenged them. We got a bunch of seniors in here that got 6 weeks left, maybe of their whole the rest of their time to play football. So let's go out there and play for those guys and play for yourself and play for the university, man. We got great support here, and I'm just excited to go back. I wish we could play today. It's one of those deals, especially after a loss. You want to get out there and play today. So I thought we brought it today for a Tuesday practice.
How's that leadership stepped up after the loss? What's the message they've been communicating to the locker room?
Man, I think when you got someone like Brad and Lincoln, man, those guys are just special guys. Bo, we got a bunch of really good leaders that are bringing this team along, and as much noise as there is right now on defense, man, we had some defensive players that really played some of their best game. Man, I thought the D line played their best game since we've been here. Maybe just assignment football, getting after the quarterback. So we just got to get a little bit better each week, and like I said from the very beginning, that's part of college football now, man. You got to continue to get better, and man, we've lost 2 heartbreakers back to back, but we're going to be in the rest of these games the rest of the year. It's going to continue to go like that. So we got to build up the defense, we got to build up the kickers, and we got to continue to play really well on offense. So there's still a ton of football ahead of us.
Coach, the consensus around the Sun Belt is that Brad Jackson's not playing like a redshirt freshman quarterback, and I think about some of these late game moments. He's risen to the occasion.
Yep.
Through that game-winning touchdown pass to Bo in the win at UTSA, led that go-ahead drive in the fourth quarter. Arkansas State put you in position for a game-winning field goal this past Saturday. If you could just talk to him about his maturation, his ability to rise to the moment.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen, and it's always good to see it when the game's on the line. Just like you said, man, he UTSA scored a touchdown, win the game. right? Arkansas State put us in a position to go win the game. This week put us in a position to win the game, and that's really all you can ask. You look at the greats around, the NFL, around college football. They have that special knack of putting their team in position to win, and Brad's continued to do that. And it is rare for a redshirt freshman to, I remember when I was a redshirt freshman, I didn't know what was going on, and for him to go out there and, I mean, look how efficient he is in the pass game and the run game, making great decisions, taking care of the football. He gives you a lot of confidence each and every week, and it's really the way he prepares, on and off the field. A super high character person, and he's just a great leader for us. And like I said from the beginning, I think he's going to go down as the best player that's ever played here, and we got to continue to support him and rally around him and follow his lead.
Coach, you relied on the running game's been really kind of the star of the team for the last couple of weeks. You're going up against a really good run defense. What do you see that Marshall does in that perspective, and how are you guys planning to utilize what you have in the backfield?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a really good matchup. We got to concentrate on ourselves though, and just like last week, they present a little bit different challenge each and every week. These coaches are really good coaches in this league, and they have their different wrinkles, and their scheme is predicated based off their personnel, so they do some really good things personnel wise to match up with you. So we got to have a really good plan. I think that's where it starts really. When you're talking about running the football and offensive play, is you got to have a great preparation leading up to today's practice. So on Sunday we dive into a little bit. Monday, I mean, coaches we're getting after it and putting together a really good plan for the angles, and making sure that the angles match up. We're going to the right, the points are right, we're going to the right people, and that's really the magic behind it. And Coach Shu and Coach Keppel and myself and Coach Bryant, Coach Bryant, our tight end coach, man, he's one of the best in the business. We really get in there, man, and Coach Neely and the rest of the offensive staff, we put together a really good scheme based off the defense that we're playing. So we got that has to continue. It's not just, hey, these are the two run plays we got, and we got to match up the scheme to the team we're playing.
The complementary side of that, like you said before, is the defense. What are the conversations you're having with Dexter McCoy, the defense, to mitigate some of these issues we've seen the last couple weeks, and
Yep.
as a whole, the turnover issue?
Yeah, we got to get turnovers. I think that's probably the biggest thing is we got to be able to create a turnover, and we got to get one stop. What I'm saying, we got to get 10% better. Got to get a stop. We had the forced fumble that they overturned. We had 1 2-point conversion. You get one of those 2-point conversions stopped, right? You stop them on a fourth down. I think that's one thing. Looking back on it, in game time, you're kind of rolling there. They were behind pretty much the whole game, so they had 4 downs with really no pressure, where they had, there wasn't really a lot of decision making going on. Like, hey, we're going for it on fourth down because we're behind. The only way we get a chance to win this game is going for it on fourth down. So that puts you at a little bit of disadvantage defensively. We had some good third down stops, but really those fourth down stops, man, we got to get off the field. We got to have guys make plays, and we got to put them in better positions too. And that's something that I've talked to Coach Dex about, and I promise you nobody wants it more than him. He's grinding and getting those guys right, and I think that's one thing too. Those guys believe in Dex, and they want to play for him, and it's part of the reason why I hired him. So we just got to continue to go to work, and about all the bad luck the last 2 weeks, it's got to start turning for the Bobcats here pretty soon.
You said DeMarcus Lacey, number 4 is
Oh, yeah.
maybe the best player in the conference. What makes him so difficult to guard, and
Yeah.
what's the key for the secondary to deal with him?
Yeah, I think he can just do it all. He's a guy, ball in hand guy, speed sweeps, screens, quick touches. He's like a running back once he catches it, but then when he's running routes, he's dynamic, he's twitchy, he's got great hands, contested catches. He's just really kind of that all around, really really good player that you find in this league. And so it's a great match. We got to know exactly where he's at all times, and make sure we're dialed into the formations and dialed into where he's at on the field.
Coach, you look at Carlos Del Rio Wilson, the quarterback for Marshall. He wasn't a starter when the season began, and it's been kind of a similar theme to some of the quarterbacks we faced already this season, namely, last week Kentucky Gilcrease. But he's really played well the past 2 weeks as they've scored 51 to 48 points, and he's led the way for them. What's been standing out about his play on the field?
Yeah, I think he's just playing with a ton of confidence. They're putting him in really good positions. Same thing, the quick touches to number 4. You get the ball to that guy in space, good things are going to happen. He's not turning the ball over. I think, anytime you got a defensive head coach, and that's something, I played for a defensive head coach, and some of that rubbed off on me, man. When you don't turn the ball over, you can run the football, and you're efficient in the pass game, good things usually happen. So I think they're just playing to his strengths right now. And look, he's a super talented kid. I mean, look where he signed out of high school. So sometimes you just got to get in the right system. And I think that's one thing watching their offensive scheme. I know some of those coaches over there, and man, they run a really good offense. They really do. They're sound. It's fun to watch. They can run the football, and just a really good coaching staff that we're going against this week.
Speaking of offense, now that Chris Dom looks to be 100% or close to it,
Yeah.
he had his best game of the season this past Saturday. How much more does that open up your playbook to have him at full strength along with both Sparks and the run game?
Yeah, it's huge, man. Really, since the Eastern Michigan game, he's been getting back into full strength, and you kind of saw it more Arkansas State of what we saw, and that's really a great 1-2 punch with him and Bo, and just excited for him. He attacked that rehab process, and played through a lot of little nagging injuries that some people wouldn't have played through. So just a tough kid, and just one of my favorite players that I've ever coached. So it's great to see him have some success out there too.
Coming off of his best game of the year, Brad, do you think like he's ready for more responsibility on like offense in term, or will he just like keep going at the same pace you're going?
I think it all, it's predicated on the defense, really. Last week with their style of play and what they do, we knew we had to pick and choose when we threw the football, because they're light in the box. They weren't necessarily sound in some of the things that they did, and so we had to run the football. Now I think the one thing that we have to do a better job of is, and you say that, I was kicking myself a little bit, but we only had really two real drives in the second half of that ball game last week. We scored on the first one, and then we come out in the second one, and it's an 8-minute drive, and you don't get the third down, and you got to kick the field goal there to go up 8 to protect the win. So we had two drives there, and then the last one with a minute left on the 1-yard line. So I think we played it right, and but he's a guy that the defense depends on what they're doing. He can throw it 60 times. I drop back every play with Brad. I have no problem with that. It's just more predicated on what the defense is giving you.
That last minute of the game when the ball was in
Yeah.
2 or 3, pretty way back.
But yeah, I don't even know where it was. It felt like the half-inch line, staying on the sideline.
But you were able to get out of it, even starting out running the ball a couple times.
Yeah.
It almost felt like you were preparing for overtime.
Yeah.
To hit them over the top. Was
Yeah.
that plan that way to kind of lull them, not let them realize what was happening, or what was the thought process?
There was a little bit of that. First, we had to get it out of there. That was I was in my mind. I was thinking we can't have a safety here, right? And so wanted to get the ball out of there, and they let the clock run, trying to go into overtime a little bit. So we're like, all right, let's. We called a run play. It was an RPO to Chris, and defense was stepping up. We were able to hit Chris. I think he catches that clean. He probably gets a little bit more. So it was a little bit of both. I wanted to see how they were playing it as well, just because, they call a timeout there. We got to run the ball, so it was a little bit of gamesmanship and a little bit of kind of, like we said earlier, what the defense was giving us there.
And obviously the missed field goal right after that.
Yeah.
And special teams as a whole, and getting that back on track. I know you mentioned the kickers. You only
Yeah.
have one that can go out there and kick field goals.
Yeah.
Do you have more than one kicker? And,
Yeah.
and overall, just fixing the special teams issues, what goes into that?
Yeah, I think you look at the game, and Jinky's about this far away from returning the kickoff to begin the game, right? Then Bo has the punt return for a touchdown that gets called back. So we're right there. We're making explosive plays. I think in the kick game, obviously with the PAT and the field goal, I promise you, like that dude, I looked at him. He was locked in. He was ready to make that field goal. It was going to be the story. He missed the PAT. Now we're going to go redeem ourselves, kick the game winner. We were going to celebrate and homecoming and all that. But that's just kind of the way life goes. And it got awfully quiet on him. And he just barely missed it. That's part of it. And we do have other kickers that definitely can kick. Obviously Michael James James is a kickoff guy. He's doing a really good job there. Bonilla is another guy that can kick. He just won the job in fall camp, and every day in practice, he doesn't miss. He didn't have a miss today in practice, and so I think that's just part of it. He's a first year really getting to play, and there's some of that, just like a quarterback, usually their first time playing, there's some growing pains there. And we knew that, going into it. I think we have 3 kickers from last year's team, one starting at Texas, one starting at Michigan, one starting in Indiana, off that team from a year ago. So we got really good kickers here. It just takes some time sometimes to get those guys on track. But man, got a ton of faith in him. He's built of the right stuff, which makes you feel good. His confidence isn't wavering, and he's going out there and he drilled one earlier in the game from about the same spot. So he'll continue to get better, and just have a ton of faith in him.
Coach, to build off Kev's question there, and you didn't mention it, but when they called timeout right before he kicked the field goal, and if I remember, it went through.
Oh yeah.
So okay, so is it just a psychological thing? Because it seems like Tyler Robles has had a pretty solid year, other
Yeah.
than those 2 kicks that he's missed that everybody's going to remember.
Yeah.
Right now. So I mean, is it just something that you got to tell him? Just
Yeah.
pretend it's 4 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah, I think think about the UTSA game right before half. He drills that long one. I think sometimes it's just like a quarterback or just like anybody. You're going to have some bad passes and you're going to miss barely. It just doinked off that upright, and so it's just I think that's just part of it. Being a kicker, life of a kicker.
Bobby Crosby, he's been starting the entire year. He's been here for 2-3 years now.
Yeah, 3.
What can you say about his growth as a player and a person?
Yeah, Bobby's, he's somebody. He was a JUCO kid that took him a while to get out. We were trying to get him at UIW, and then we were able to get him here at Texas State. And his biggest thing is just being healthy. When he's been healthy, he's been a playmaker for us. And he's playing still at a high level this year. But that's one thing that we need out of those guys that are been here for a while, that have the ability to play at a high level, to continue just to get better and make some of those plays when the game's on the line. And he's really, he can hit, he can tackle, he can cover. He knows the defense, so he's one of our better players for sure. So he's just got to continue to do what he's doing.
And we talked earlier, a lot about like player-led teams
Yep.
taking responsibility. Do you feel like the defense still been able to take responsibility for like the mistakes they've made, and do you think that's still impacting the team positively?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're going out there and they're practicing and they're doing the right things. Like I said, man, we got a bunch of really good kids over there that are busting their butt to go fix it, and same thing with the coaching staff. So we just got to continue to build those guys up and playing really well at the beginning of games. I think it's we got to make sure that we're continuing that for 4 quarters, and it usually just takes one turnover, takes one 4th down stop, and I think the complementary football that we talked about going into last week, you saw it in the first half. Just got to continue for the whole game.
Coach, you talked about noise last week, all the noise around. That after a second loss, the noise got a little louder. Have you addressed that with your team and tried to tone it back down and keep them focused?
I think it's just natural. It's just part of it. You look at the Eagles right now. Sirianni won a Super Bowl in their 2 games, and now it's just part of it. I think that's the great thing about the sport. When you're winning, you're Nick Saban. When you're not, it is what it is. So it's our job to fix it, and it's our job to get back on track. So I really am excited about the opportunity to go up there and play and see what happens. We still got a lot of football left. I think that's the biggest, coaching point is, man, we got so much more to play for. Let's just make sure that we're continuing to do the right things on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, to prepare you for Saturday.